You are Black in the Green Room with me, your host, Keith Underwood, and this is your spot for real talk about entertainment with entertainers, creatives, and showbiz professionals. Joining me in the room today with iconic roles in House Party, Martin, and My Wife and Kids, this multi-talented actress and comedian, known for her sharp wit and magnetic presence, will be bringing her stand-up show, Damn Gina, to the Ice House in Pasadena on October 10th. Welcome to the room, Tisha Campbell. What's up?
What's up?
Hey, what's
What an
happening?
intro. That's a nice intro.
I try to do a little something,
I
something.
see you with your research. I see you.
How you been?
I've been really, really joyful.
Nice. Oh, I love that. Oh, that just sounds so full. And it sounded so full when you said it.
Yeah.
Tisha, if you could step into the shoes of any of your past characters for just one day,
Uh-huh.
who would it be? And what kind of a journey would you take them on?
Oh my God. That is the hardest question ever. Okay. It's so funny because I don't normally watch my work
Right.
because, growing up in the business, like you're only as good as your last job. So soon as one's over, you're on to the next or what is next. So
Right.
there's plenty of things that I've never seen before. Um, but I guess me my wife and kids,
My wife and
maybe.
kids. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my wife and kids. I learned a lot on that show and I learned, you know, I wasn't a mother when I first started. And now, by the second season, I was a mom. So I think, just that whole entire journey of becoming a mom and then realizing while on set that I was the mother of a special needs child.
Hmm.
That whole journey was so, in when you first get the diagnosis, my son is on the spectrum, on he's ASD, autism spectrum disorder. And at first it's one of the most devastating things in the world. But God, if I could just
Hmm.
tell that mom back then that everything is going to be okay and they choose you for a reason, you know what I mean? I think that would be the journey and that would be the talk that I would have with myself.
Yeah, that's nice. It's just so very profound. And I think most people would have expected like a party answer, you know.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yes,
not from
yes,
me.
right. Exactly. We're doing grown folks talk. You've been in the game since childhood, and creating memorable moments in comedy, drama, and music.
Yeah.
What's been the most defining moment of your career so far?
Oh gosh, you can't even ask me that question. That is your questions are so profound, but it's so hard because there's been many. Like there's been
Hmm.
so many. I would say the first one was when I decided to be in show business in the first place. And I'm sure people have heard me say this story before, but I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, in probably, it was an underprivileged area. We grew up really, really poor, eating like mayonnaise sandwiches and government
Mm,
cheese sandwiches and syrup sandwiches, and we didn't have much, but we had each other.
mm,
And I was very conscious as a child of how poor we really were, especially when the lights were off, or we were hiding the toaster from the welfare man, or
wow.
my father from the welfare man, because you couldn't
Mm.
have a husband if you were on welfare.
Well,
And I remember at about 5 years old, I started singing when I was three. Both my parents were singers. Um, and about 5 years old, we didn't have a color television that worked. We had a big color television and the 13-inch screen, black and white, that actually worked, that sat on top of the color television.
right.
Um, and I heard about a contest, and I wanted to enter it because the second prize was a color television.
Wow.
And I wanted to win it for my family because we didn't have one that worked. And
Mm-hmm.
so I begged my mom to enter me in the contest. They did. Her and my dad. I was one of 2 child groups in the entire contest. And I wound up not winning the car. I'm sorry, not winning the television. I won a car.
Mm.
I won the first prize, which
Wow.
of course I'm 5 and I'm pissed.
Right.
So I dropped the keys. Plus my brother was eating my Cheetos. So I went to go kill him. And when they grabbed me and pulled me back, I saw my mother crying and my dad jumping up and down. I was like, oh, yeah, we don't have a car either. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was the defining moment in my life when I knew that I could help people. I could help
Yes.
my family out of their circumstances. And I guess that carried its way throughout, the theme of my life, because I felt like what I can offer is some kind of help, service, support. I can make people cry. I can make people laugh. I can make people think. I could change mindsets, maybe. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I just felt like I could help in some way. And instead of looking at this business for the, trying to get money or trying to get
Mm-hmm.
fame, I was doing it to help other people. Like I could acquire money and that money would go to servitude. And I
Right.
think, and I always talk about how there's a difference between being an artist and a celebrity. An artist
Mm.
understands that they are here to serve other people, and a celebrity believes that they're here to be served.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took that theme and I've applied that to my entire life and to my entire career in this industry.
Yes.
That's why I probably didn't get caught up in a whole bunch.
You said I am of service. I ain't trying to get in no trouble.
Honey, let me do my job, okay? And that's the other thing. It's just a job. Like I always tell my kids don't know any different. It's
Right.
just a job to them.
Yes.
You have great questions.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I knew I was meeting with you today, so I said I got to be on my game. So,
Okay, I see you.
so Tisha, being predominantly known as an actress and
Mhm.
then transitioning into comedy and stand-up
Yeah,
comedy, what was
yeah.
that journey like for you? And what were your anticipations from the audience? And then how did they receive you?
That's another great question. Man, let me tell you something. This is a genre of this industry that I've always wanted to try.
Mm,
Now, I'm going to take you back to like the early 90s. This is even before I got no, I'm sorry, Martin show. So
mhm,
this is before 92. So around 89, 90, I was mostly known for doing musical theater and dramas. Now, if you needed a girl to cry on the spot, I was your girl. And when I started auditioning for comedy, I couldn't get arrested.
mhm,
I didn't understand it. I didn't know how to support my other character of the other people in the scenes. And at the time, they were giving all these comedians, these stand-up comedians, deals. So I
mhm,
knew in order for me to be, a girlfriend or a wife or something, I had to understand what comedy was. And I started auditioning, even though I didn't get it, I was auditioning. And this one casting director said to me, Tisha, you need sitcom classes. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, where do I get those? And she was like, there aren't any. And I was like, oh God. So I knew I had to figure it out quickly.
Mhm,
And so I started sitting in, like, just going to all the comedy venues, Comedy Store, Comedy Act Theater, the Improv. Like I would just sit in the back with the comedians to try to figure out what the heck is comedy. And I noticed that the people who went up were the one and who were really successful in getting the deals were the ones who were telling their truths.
mm,
They were
mhm.
telling the truth. And I was like, oh, there's a thin line between the two, because in any other venue, in any other place, if they were just telling the story, it might be a sad story.
Mhm.
So I knew there was a thin line between comedy and drama. And I knew that at this point, once I figured it out, I could waltz with these comedians and, enhance what they already have.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of it, though, was sitting back in the back with the comedians. Back then, they were kind of brutal to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like when one would make that walk up to the stage, the other comedians would talk badly about him. And you knew that was happening as you were going up on the stage. And I was like, ugh, there's no camaraderie. Oh, God, I don't think I can handle this kind of, I didn't think that I could handle it. And so for
Right.
years, I'd been avoiding it. But comedian friends of mine would always go, you should try it. You're funny. You have a lot of stories to tell. You should do it. You
Mm-hmm.
should do it. And I was like, no, 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 no. You're not going to get me out there looking crazy, right? Bombing. So this year, at the beginning of this year, it was a mistake. D Nice was
Mm-hmm.
doing a residency at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., 4,000 people, right? And so
Wow.
he had a um, 3 night stay there. And it was comedy the first night, it was Club Quarantine the second night, and then Club Quarantine Gospel the third night.
Mm-hmm.
So since I was coming to support him anyway, his people reached out to me and was like, hey, D lost his host. Do you mind bringing people up? And I saw the lineup. It was Gina Yashere, it was Chris Spencer, it was Sherry Shepard, it was Michael Che.
Mm.
It was all these big names. And I was like, yeah, I can bring them up. No
Right.
problem.
I
She was like,
got
yeah.
this.
She was like, yeah, do 15 minutes before. And I was like, huh? What? She's like, it's fine. Chris Spencer will help you. I was like, Chris ain't gonna help me. He got ADD, right?
Right, right, right,
So I
right.
called Chris, and Chris is like, just tell a story, right? And I was like, I knew he wasn't gonna help me, right? So I knew, because me and Chris and Tashina, we're all friends, and we took writing classes together, and they had no attention span whatsoever.
You said
So
none at all.
no, none at all. So what wound up happening is I knew I could, get him to be still and give me some pointers. He gave me pointers. I went out there and I did a whole 15 minutes, which is unheard
Wow.
of with a first time comedian. You might have a good 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I just told stories and I was myself. And by the time I got off the stage, Chris was getting calls about me going on the road. He was getting calls. He had already made a call to a stand-up agent who
Wow.
just sends people out. I had an agent by the time I left the Kennedy Center. And that's how it kind of started. And so, and I made a commitment to myself during COVID isolation, which was I'm going to do everything that I've ever wanted to do in my life. I'm going to try
Yes.
it at least once. And so that's
Yes.
what happened.
You had a year of yes, right?
I had the year of the yes, and that was the year
Yes.
of the yes for me.
That's
Yes.
absolutely amazing. So
Mhm.
how is this transition into comedy now? How can we expect to see that manifest in your upcoming show?
Well, it's interesting because eventually I would love to do a one-woman show with all of the
Mm.
material that I'm putting together, which incorporates music too. But right now, I'm just trying to master this.
Mm-hmm.
And now my agent, who was brilliant enough to put, God rest his soul, David Arnold and Kim Whitley together, she's now put me and Finesse Mitchell together. And we're a great team. We enhance one another. He really helps me and I help him in other ways too. So we've worked together before. We worked
Mm-hmm.
on this Fox show together where he played my husband. So we know each other very well, and it's just been working out really, really, really well. And it's been so fun to take this journey and talk about all the stuff about myself. People get to really know me because most of the time they know caricatures of me, not who I
Mm-hmm.
am as a person. So this has been such an amazing journey and of discovery and almost like therapy at this.
Yeah, I hear a lot of comics say that being on stage and doing stand-up is therapeutic. Why
Yeah.
is that? What is it about doing stand-up that makes it therapeutic?
Man, I don't know. It's when you're telling your truth.
Mm-hmm.
and when you're really going in, and because it's not always beautiful up there. Like there are moments
Mm,
where you will bomb, but there's weird. It's weird. It's like you have an appreciation for when you bomb too,
mm-hmm.
and but that's life. You know what I mean? There's ups and downs, and you don't know what you're gonna get from any audience. But what's been really great is the support that I've
Mm-hmm.
gotten. I thought it would be like it was in the 90s, where everybody was really kind of a little bit more cutthroat.
Yes.
But man, from everybody from Dion to Kim Whitley, Sherry, Gina, Yashere, Tone Rock, all
Mm-hmm.
of these comedians have been so incredibly, oh, Damon Williams, all of them, they've been so supportive. Marshall Warfield, they're like, Tisha, you can do it. They pushing me. And I wanted them to know that I was taking it seriously, and that
Mm-hmm.
it does mean the world to me, and I respect their craft because it's something that I was afraid to do my whole life.
Yes. Do you want to see your comedy, like you were mentioning earlier, that you said, hey, all the folks that are getting their own shows are comedians. So are you hoping that your stand-up and your routine will transition into maybe a television project or a film that's kind of maybe centric or centered around your life?
It's funny, I don't look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever Wherever this journey takes me, I'm with it. I'm here for it. So if it does, it does. If it doesn't, I get to share with people.
Mm,
I get to
yes.
share my life with people. And I think that's what touches me more so than anything.
Yeah, I love that. You're an empath. So
Yeah, I
yeah, I
am.
like that a lot. So I would have to say Gina and Martin is probably one of your most iconic roles, and you look like
Yeah.
you had a great time playing the character. What was
Yeah.
the best part about playing
Sheena
Gina?
Arnold.
Oh, and how did you keep her authentic and the audience loving her so
No,
much?
Tashina Arnold was the best thing about the Martin show. Like, we've all known each other from Tommy, Carl. Carl, me, and Tashina grew up in this business together. So we've all known each other since we were 11 and 12 years old.
Mm, hmm.
But Tashina was my best friend. And to be
Yes.
able to take a journey with your bestie and have a good time and just laugh all the way through every single moment, you know, it was it was the best part of the Martin show was Tashina Arnold.
Yes. And how do you think that relationship translated to the audience?
I'm sure they could see it. It
Yeah.
was obvious, even if they didn't know that we've known each other since we were preteens.
Hmm.
Um, I'm sure it transferred to the audience, and they could see that. They could
Yeah.
see the genuine girlfriend bestie energy.
Yeah. You seem very strategic with your career. And I know that a lot of it is just kind of, living in the moment, but you seem very strategic in your career.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do next? Yeah, I mean, you've been a singer, you've done theater, you've done television, you've done film. What do you want to do next?
All my life, I've wanted to be a writer.
Mm,
Now, if you remember what I said earlier, most of my career choices were based on helping other people. Now that I'm in this new space, I'm kind of free to explore what Tisha wants to do.
mm.
And I've always wanted to be a writer and a producer. I never wanted to be a director because actors would drive me crazy. I don't really like actors that much like that.
I
I'd
was a
run across that.
publicist. I was a
Listen,
publicist for years. I get you.
man,
Yes.
I would run into that one actor who's, neurotic and, not nice, and then I'll be in jail. So, no,
Mhm.
directing is not for me, but writing is. And I've
Yes.
always wanted to be a writer. I was told that I couldn't. I was told that I shouldn't, that I should just concentrate on my day job. But when it's one of the most fulfilling things for me. And
Mm-hmm.
right now I'm actually writing a book about me and my son's journey with autism.
Mm-hmm.
People would expect, well, I don't know what they would expect, but people are used to people doing these salacious tales, but that's not what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted from my book. This is about me and my son's journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people have wanted me to talk about how he, went from being completely nonverbal to mouth almighty, tongue everlasting. And
Yes.
um yes, so I'm I've got my deal, and I'm six I would say about 6 months from finishing. But I'm super excited about it.
Yes, I love that. What's a lesson that you didn't want to learn from your son, but that then you received it and thought about it and you said, okay, you got a point there. What was that? What was that moment?
I thought of something else, but that's not what. Um, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm usually good at answering these questions, but I'm a kind of a mama bear,
Yes.
so
What's been the biggest lesson that you've learned on this journey with him about yourself?
that I was meant to be his mother.
Mm-hmm.
When you first get the diagnosis, you're like, why my child? Why us? Why him? Why me? But you start to understand the love that these kids have, verbal or nonverbal. They're so incredibly special. And I've learned that when it comes to my kids, you better not get in my way. I
Mm.
have tenacity, and I will advocate for my children, and I will fight for my children. So that's one of the things that I've learned about myself, is that once I get information, once I research like crazy. And I accepted his diagnosis, but I didn't accept the label.
I like that. Yes.
And I believe that our story hopefully can help other people.
Yes. Tisha, with you were talking about earlier, like, actors could be a little crazy or what have you. How have you navigated the business and all of the madness and still, stay true to yourself?
My mama,
Come on now.
that's crazy. Both my parents kept me really, really grounded. Like, even
Mm-hmm.
growing up in the business, I was still, doing chores. I was still walking all the laundry to the laundromat, for me and my brothers. I
Mm-hmm.
was babysitting. I was still, I was still they kept me grounded. They kept me regular. So I believe that it was half my mama and my daddy, and the other half I would attribute to Tashina Arnold, because we grew up in this business together and we really had each other's backs. And so, yeah, I would have to attribute it to those two factors.
Mm-hmm. What's your biggest hope for people that want to get in this business? What is your biggest hope for them?
Yeah, great question. My biggest hope for people who want to get in this business is that they do it for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
They do it to help other people. They do it because they understand that what they do is a communication from God. When you're given a gift, that
Mm.
is a communication from God. And I've seen so many people fall to the wayside because they did it for all the wrong reasons. They did it to get
Mm-hmm.
back at people. They did it for the money. They did it for the fame, the control, the power. And you will always fall.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in this business for 53 years.
It's amazing.
53 years. Woo! And 5 decades. And I understand what a blessing it is to serve people for 5 decades. I understand what a blessing it is to still be relevant. I don't take it for granted. So I think for people who want to get into this business, that they really study the craft of it all,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really important. Um, that they still, and this was taught to me by my acting coach, you have to get outside of yourself because it can be so all consuming. And so it's really important to like donate your time to charitable things
Mm-hmm.
or people, um, and that they, they stay grounded.
Yeah. Tisha, share with me, because one of your other iconic roles, of course, is Jay and my wife and kids. Tell me a funny, I know this is a typical question, but you might have a different answer for me.
Okay.
A funny moment from behind the scenes of my wife and kids.
Oh, I can't even remember. There was so many. Damon, Damon was such a brilliant. You like watching Damon work is sort of like watching a Dave Chappelle work. They are very
Hmm.
similar. Their their comedy intellect is super high.
Hmm.
So to watch them put together, to watch him, Damon, put together jokes or a through line or just, you know, the script itself, to watch him do that is it's like an amazing class to be in.
Yes.
He's such a smart producer, writer, comedian, and it would be impossible to not learn anything from him.
Yes.
It's amazing.
And that's just such a phenomenal compliment. Just forget all the niceties that I was just getting ready to express. You're being the artist that you are and the appreciation that you have for other artists and being able to salute them. I just think that that's just
Uh,
a phenomenal personality trait.
Thank you.
As someone who has, suffered some challenges, in your life, what is your secret to being resilient?
Oh, gosh. Um, my secret?
Hmm.
I don't think it's a secret. I think it's mostly prayer, you know?
Use it,
Um,
y'all.
yeah, it's mostly prayer for me. Um, and honoring the people who came before me, understanding that everybody has a journey. I don't know, just there's a certain understanding. There's a,
Yeah,
and it's not really failing. It's falling upward, but
I love that.
it's there's 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 nothing but no's, especially back in the day when we weren't as represented on television and film.
Hmm.
And it was your pure talent that got you in the door, that got you the jobs. And you had to hear no a lot. But I don't really hear no until like the third no.
Right. You're like, come again? So,
Yeah, like how I always look at it like, okay, what else can I do to change your mind?
Mhm.
What could I have come in again and done something different when I used to audition? But yeah, just understanding that the nose is just another door that's opening in a different way. And if
Yeah.
it's not meant for you, then it's not meant for you. And
Hmm.
you'll always see why it's not meant for you. So no, it's just another yes somewhere else.
I love that. What's some advice that you would give to women of color specifically about navigating this business?
Um, well, no, you're a woman of color. First of all, like
Ooh,
you gotta,
Tisha,
you gotta
say
know,
that.
understand that you will be reminded. The opportunities aren't as great. They're getting better because of people like Shonda Rhimes and
Hmm.
all these amazing filmmakers. We have more opportunities. We're behind the scenes more. I think that if you decide to be an actress, be a multi hyphenated actress. Like you also have to write. You also have to produce. You also should direct. You should do everything you can create your own create your own stuff, because nobody else will. So learn how to do it great and be great, because you won't have the opportunities. So make the opportunities.
So Tisha, you know, I whether you know this or not, I've crossed paths with you a few times, and I have seen the joy that you get from dancing. You know, it's like it's a spiritual experience for you. Where are you when you're dancing, Tisha?
I'm in another world.
Yes, baby.
Listen,
Come on.
let me tell you something. We didn't have the money to go to dance classes. And back when I was growing up, they only cost $5, and we didn't have that. We didn't have that. And so I had to fake it all this time. And I remember, I don't know if I've ever told this story. When I was about 15 years old, I had just acquired my first agent. Now, I've been working my whole life. And I thought whatever they send you out on, you have to go out on. You have to. You can't say no. And how they found me in the first place, my agent found me in a little play on Theater Row on 42nd Street, when 42nd Street was not Disneyfied. It was when the pimps and the hookers was out, walking the streets. It was not. It was more of a seedier place to be. And they found me in this little theater doing a musical. Now I was singing and dancing in that, but I'm not a dancer. So they started sending me out on all these dance auditions. I'm talking tap, I'm talking ballet, I'm talking, oh my God. And it was horrifying. And I went to this one audition and I completely bombed, because they wanted me to do pirouettes and sashay across the floor. And oh my God, it was god awful. But I winded up calling them and crying on the phone, on the payphone outside. I was like, I'm not a dancer. They were like, we thought you were a dancer. I'm not a dancer at all. I've been faking it. I'm a faker, not a dancer. And so all this time, I've been literally faking it. And how I do it, how I did it was, whenever I have a dance audition, like if there was a musical and it called for it, there was nothing I could do about it. So I would ask my agent to find out when the earliest call was. If the earliest call was 10 o'clock and the latest call was 6 o'clock, I'd ask for the 6 o'clock and show up at 10 o'clock. And I'd learn the dance all day long.
Wow, that's
Wouldn't
dedication.
take any breaks, not even water breaks. Yeah. And so by the time 6 o'clock came, I could go into the room and I wouldn't look crazy. So those are the kind of, you have to be committed. You have to think outside the box. You have to figure out, I mean, you asked me earlier, what would be some of the, things I could drop. And, that would be one of them. Figure it out.
Yes. Tisha Campbell, tell us a little bit about where people can find tickets for your upcoming and happy early birthday, by the way.
Thank you. My birthday's on the 13th. I'm excited. But I am going to be in Pasadena at the Ice House on October 10th. And then I fly right out in Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio on the 11th and 12th. So I'm hoping that everybody comes out, get your tickets, because it goes so fast and I want to see everybody. It's just really great that I get to be intimate with an audience and they get to know a different part of me.
Yes. And where can everybody find you in general on social media?
Oh, my name. Now, I've been trying to change my name on one of them on Instagram to take the married name off, but I guess I have too many followers, and so just look for my name and you'll see I'm there.
Yes. Tisha Campbell, let me tell you, this has been so phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining me on Black in the Green Room.
You're welcome. I've had a good time. This is a great interview.
Everyone, please follow me on FB at Keith L. Underwood. And you can also follow me on IG at Mr. Keith L. Underwood. Until next time, this has been Black in the Green Room.